Hi there. In today's video, I want to talk about 3 developmental gaps that are important for you to address on your journey into leadership. My name is Aishwarya Rajmohan, and I am an executive coach and speaker supporting women working in majority male industries with building the confidence to take their careers and businesses to the next level. Now, these 3 developmental gaps that I'm going to talk about today are crucial for you no matter what stage of your career you are at. In early career, you might be thinking that your leadership journey is going to start a couple of years in the future, but you need to be aware of today of what patterns you could fall into and try and avoid that. If you're already in senior leadership, you might have perhaps taken some less helpful ways of leading and being and doing into your leadership in that role. So there might be things that you need to watch out for and then perhaps get rid of. And for those of you who are in mid-career, perhaps you're already experiencing the mid-career plateau. And I've talked about this in other videos. This is essentially where women's careers stagnate in that level, at that level, mid-career level, and they're not able to progress into senior leadership. And this is with no matter what kind of track record they hold. This can happen to both women who have taken time off to start and grow their families and those who are child-free. So there is no clear distinction about who gets impacted by this dynamic. So let's take a look at those gaps very quickly. The first gap that you need to look out for is a capacity gap. So the first one is your capacity to develop more, to be more, to do more, and hold more responsibility for your next level. And, the big problem is you might not be aware. There might be a blind spots, things that you are not aware that you need at your next level. So, this is the reason why it's so helpful to work with a coach. Because sometimes there are things that you need to do. It's not just skills and knowledge and experience. There are other things, other ways that you need to develop. And you need to develop also systems, structures, and types of capital that will help you hold that increased responsibility. The second developmental gap that I see often is a leadership skills and acumen gap. So this is where you are reluctant to moving or stepping up from being a doer into a leader. And this is very understandable. You might have got a reputation and you might have got a lot of positive praise for being the one who gets things done. But that same energy is not going to be useful as a leader because you have to be able to share the responsibility, the right responsibility with your team. And if you don't do that, it's not just the work that's impacted because also your relationships with your team can be very difficult and complex, unnecessarily complex. There might be some element of codependency happening when your leadership isn't strong. Thirdly, there's a confidence gap I've noticed in women where they are doing things to develop their profile and their visibility rather than doing the things that will get them into rooms where power is exchanged. And these rooms, often this happens behind closed doors. So they're not exactly doing the thing that will get them into positions of power, but they are doing things externally, joining organizations, giving their energy to something else, perhaps developing their personal brand, all of those things that help them be more visible, but do not necessarily get them selected for a senior role that will allow them to really exert their influence and the impact. So, in short, these were the 3 developmental gaps, and if at all you identified any of these as important for you to pay attention to, I invite you to consider coaching. I support my clients with this, and I promise you it will make a really big difference to you because you are going to be able to close those gaps much quicker and with more ease. When there's somebody helping you, there's somebody helping you develop and step into that new version of yourself. And as I mentioned earlier, uncover the blind spots that you're not seeing. I've been working with some coaches for 6 months, and then we're uncovering more and more things that they have not seen in themselves and patterns they have stayed stuck with for years. And those patterns, the leadership patterns that are negative, not really helping them, have had serious consequences on their well-being even. Not to mention how it impacts the way they work with their teams and also external teams. So this is a super important topic, and I invite you to consider really book a call with me if you identify any of these developmental gaps, and let's have a conversation about what you need to do to close them. If you're interested in working together right away, I have a scholarship program called the 20 by 2026 program that I am closing for enrollment in September. If you're watching this in the summer of 2026, I encourage you to apply for a slot. Let's have a conversation about what it looks like to work together. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope it's been helpful to help you identify what are the things you need to watch out for on your own leadership journey so that you can get there faster and with less heartbreak.